Time for some Venn diagrams. Disappointing movie. End result. Fuck it. I thought I had this pre-planned, but I didn't.
You really didn't. You went for Mark Little, and you got
I went for Mark Little.
Greg Large, just like not even in the same ballpark.
Yeah. I think I spoiled the whole entire vlog review, at least from my perspective. I think this is maybe one of the most disappointing movies I've seen in theaters.
We could have seen Whiplash.
No, we couldn't have because we missed the time for that. Because somebody...
If we had planned for it. Like I had originally intended prior to coming up here.
No, because at that time, he was predisposed. We couldn't have picked him up and gone out at the same time.
We could have seen The Theory of Everything.
I think I would rather have seen this than The Theory of Everything.
So what was Whiplash about?
It was about one of the guys from that awkward moment being yelled at by J.K. Simmons for an hour and a half.
Yeah, I would rather have seen this movie than that. I would rather have seen anything other than Miles Teller getting screamed at. Unless it's a video of me screaming at Miles Teller, then I would watch the shit out of that.
J.K. Simmons doing his best Arlie Ermy. That does not appeal to you in the least.
No, if I wanted to see that, I would see Arlie Ermy screaming at Miles Teller.
It's not like the guy has a long IMDb page for the last 5
So you didn't
years.
like the film at all?
No.
Beginning to end?
Beginning to end,
All right.
No. The beginning was fine.
Huh.
Like Birdman, by the way. The beginning was fine. The middle was...
We saw Birdman! Okay.
We saw Birdman. But yeah.
Birdman!
The beginning was fine. I like the build up to it. The middle started to lose me when I realized it doesn't quite know what it wants to be, structurally speaking. And then, or it thinks it wants to, but they keep losing, like, it keeps waffling on what it's trying to do, or what it's trying to say, using its own narrative mechanics and using its own film techniques. And then finally at the end, it just sputters out, and I'm completely without any kind of remorse when I say, like, this is a disappointing movie. Like, my feelings right now is, like, this should be so much better than it is. I think this is a wholesale, like, from, like, beginning of January from here, I'm feeling like I never went into a movie expecting more than what I got.
You were unaware of this movie's existence until I told you.
No, I knew about this movie for the better part of a month. I just had no impetus to see it until, you came in town and we decided that, we should have one last Sage Versus before the year is out. And I agree with you.
Because The Hobbit, what's that?
No, yeah, but you're not going to be here for The Hobbit.
You two are.
Yeah.
So we missed the Hunger Games.
Yeah, I missed the Hunger Games mainly because of me. We missed the Hunger Games, but actually...
Mainly because of you.
Mainly because of me.
Oh, what part did I have to play in that, Val?
I hate it when Mommy and Daddy fight.
I missed the Hunger Games because I got really, really behind on a bunch of my work for a lot of the November anime abandons, and a lot of personal issues were, creeping up on me, and... That fake cigarette giving you the black lung, eh?
I have a prop, too.
But, a lot of personal things were creeping up into keeping me from,
Dangle it on your nose.
Thank you.
Not you, him.
Yeah, I know.
It's not really.
Or he could dangle on your nose.
But, again, so Sage Versus had to go on hiatus until I could at least get some semblance of professionality on track.
Well done.
Thank you. And so that here we are in December, and we're going to be talking about a movie that's been out for the better part of 3 weeks, I'm going to say.
A bit more than that, yeah.
Yeah, but it's a limited release. So it I don't know, but for all we know...
You know what was a more recent release?
What?
Whiplash.
Okay, stop it. All right, literally stop it.
I'm going to see it, and I'm going to show it to you, and it's going to be spectacular, and you're going to be very disappointed in yourself.
Okay, all right, I'll wait for that day. But until now, we're talking about Birdman.
Well, up until now, we were talking about your professionalism, but continue on.
Anyway.
Aren't you glad we're back?
So, we got Birdman because nothing came out this week. Nothing really worth it was...
Yeah, I can't even remember the titles we went over.
Yeah, it was...
It's Oscar Wank and...
Not even Oscar Wank. Not even like films with Oscar buzz around it, because those would be easy to spot. But no, this was like, why don't we make January early this year? Okay. Oh yeah, The Pyramid came out this week.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and we said, well, that's gonna suck. Why don't we see a movie that has a chance of not sucking. Turns out, there wasn't a lion behind this door, but there certainly wasn't a princess waiting for us to kiss her.
Lady. It's a lady and a tiger.
A lady.
And a tiger.
Yeah, mixed metaphors. Sort of like this movie. Continuing trend. You see, sometimes when you start a euphemism, you try to keep it consistent. This movie doesn't do that.
Are we talking about euphemisms, metaphors?
Euphemisms, metaphors, just things that are supposed to mean more than what they appear to be.
How about we tell them about the plot, Bennett?
Why don't we?
Okay. Gabe, you haven't spoken in a while. Do you want to tell them about the plot?
I just wanted to wait for you guys to talk about how much you didn't like the movie.
All right.
I think we're going to get to that in gradual succession.
I'm going to plow in here. So I like the movie.
You did?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
I like the movie.
Holy fuck.
I like the movie too.
Oh, you. I'm outnumbered here.
I do. I like the movie.
You did?
There are parts of it I don't like.
Well, now I don't like the movie.
Thank you. Wonder Twin powers activate. Because I'm the form of water, that does not hurt me.
Well, it doesn't hurt me either because it's fake, but...
Come on, it's supposed to be about the realism, man.
I'm going back to the use pay.
What are you doing, man? You're waving these fake cigarettes in my face, and I feel like you're a kid with a fake cigarette. This is the movie.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. Okay. How about I talk about the plot? All right. Let's get a semblance of rail down before this train gets off the station.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, Michael Keaton is playing the Alejandro Inarritu version of Michael Keaton. Alejandro Inarritu is the guy that directed, among other movies, Babel. The interconnected stories most prominently featuring Brad Pitt and I believe Cate Blanchett.
Yeah, that was...
It's Michael Keaton, a former star of highly rated, highly respected superhero movies, about a character named Birdman, named after a flying creature.
Starts to sink in.
Starts a little bit there.
And also Mr. Mom.
Yes, and Multiplicity.
Multiplicity, yes.
He is now on Broadway, directing and adapting and starring a play he took from a book of an author he met 20 years ago, and he gave him good advice when he was on stage in Syracuse as a young, aspiring professional. And it's not going so well. And it just becomes this long...
He's found out that it ain't so great.
Hey, have you ever seen...
Rob Snyder is.
Have you ever seen Noises Off? Yeah, that's basically what happens.
Oh, not comedic effect, and there's nothing resembling Carol Burnett or pre-accident Christopher Reeve in this movie. But... yeah, we're going into the preview stage of this, and everything's right on. This guy is just out of money. His daughter hates him. She just got out of rehab. His wife, I believe, left him. It's not really confirmed if they actually had a divorce. And he needs this to be successful, and he has a little nagging voice in his head that takes the form of him in the Birdman suit.
Doing his best Christian Bale impersonation.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Taking the piss. And just telling him about how he's better than this, and it's really... It begins as an internal conflict between the guy that wants to be renowned for being better than everybody else and is trying to come to terms with being a has-been. And again, Michael Keaton is cast here for, I don't know, no reason whatsoever. Just random casting.
What?
Really? Sarcasm.
Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't...
Sarcasm.
It's just the way you said it. It was so serious.
It was so dry and so comic, yes.
Okay.
You had us going there. Acting. Brilliant.
Yeah.
My first problem with the movie, and now that we got to
I just want to comment really quick, though, that, that is amusing to see him trying to do a Batman impression of another Batman.
And succeeding, for a large part.
Yeah.
You were saying?
My first problem with the movie was that it just can't seem to figure out, all right, throughout this movie, there's this sort of running a theme of, is Michael Keaton in this movie really touching down in reality? And that's a huge theme in this movie, is that the differing shades of reality. If you've seen the Satoshi Kon film, then you know that they love to play with duality between, like, what's real on the theater stage versus what's real in a movie theater, or versus what's, supposedly real in this film. And, and there's these times where the movie continually plays with the fact that it's a movie. It's presented as a play because all of the scenes are shown seamlessly. So it's like you're watching a play. There's no cuts. There's no edits.
Yes, there are.
Well, there's edits at the beginning and then there's edits towards the middle.
There are edits at the end. There are edits, and I actually disagree with this just fundamentally. It is meant to be a semblance of one shot, one take. Similar to how Rope tried it, the Alfred Hitchcock film from the 40s. And like the Alfred Hitchcock film, the transitions between the takes, where they actually are cutting, are fairly obvious. So you notice, because characters will walk into a darker room, walk a few steps, and then are walk into a completely lit, different color-coded scene with the camera color balance. So you're telling, okay, they transition, I got it, this is where they edited. You're doing that throughout the entire movie.
That's
purposeful.
It's purposeful editing, but it's also a trick that they use on stage to do a scene transition. So it's meant to invoke a feeling that you're watching a play.
Absolutely, you're moving scene between scene. Yes.
So, but it continually plays with the fact that you're watching a movie because it plays with diegetic sound. And if you're unfamiliar with the term, it plays with the term diegetic sound. If you don't know what that means, it's diegetic sound is the difference between diegetic and non-diegetic is the difference between sounds you hear because a character makes a motivation.
That's diegetic sound. And it's given a point of origin and a visual connection to the actual inner frame. You see us here, you see me making it, in the audio mix, that is meant to convey that I made that slap in the context of where we're appearing in this movie.
Non-diegetic sound is if I just suddenly play Prince over this.
And we're taken down from YouTube.
And I never actually make mention of the fact that I'm playing Prince over this. So
and we're not grooving around or doing anything.
Yeah, that's the difference. And you hear music all throughout the movie, and yet there is always a point of origin within the movie that's established where that music is coming from.
Not always.
But they always plant that idea of doubt within you. They always do.
That can be argued.
Right,
Largely, it is a soundtrack highly from the very start, before we even get a frame outside the credits. It is a soundtrack defined or just entirely revolving around a drum set. A single person on a drum set, really hitting that hi-hat, going for that solo, and it is constant. And
drums and cymbals.
Drums and cymbals, absolutely. And I'll let you continue your point.
And so you're hearing that drum and cymbals, like, okay, it builds the mood, it's appropriate, but every so often, he looks, Michael Keaton looks up, and there's a guy playing drums, and it's playing the exact same kind of drum and cymbals that you're hearing. It's like, wait a minute, so you're telling me that all the time we're hearing that, that's just him playing outside, and sure enough, by the end of the movie, there's that same guy playing it inside. So
it's at the same volume, regardless of where the characters are in position to this drummer.
And you also realize that Michael Keaton can literally say music on, and all of a sudden the music swells. And every time someone from the real world tries to touch him, before he goes off into his Birdman reality, music stops. So every time you're hearing sound, like, non-diegetic sound, it's established that only exists within this character's head. So it plays around with the idea of diegetic and non-diegetic sound to break the notions of what is a movie versus what is a play. It's all a presentation of fiction. And it plays around with that. And I like that for the most part. Until you realize that when they're doing that, when they're playing with the notions of, fictitious reality, what that means for the character, it seems to waffle on completely. It seems that the point of contention with the character is that he's rejecting his Birdman past because he thinks it makes him a joke. And the more he rejects it, the more his life continues to go down the shitter. Yeah. And it's only when he embraces his Birdman identity.
You're the Birdman?
Exactly. And when he embraces his Birdman identity, spoilers, things go right for him. Yeah, it does.
Cutting in.
At great sacrifice.
That, for me, is where the movie started to, as you put it. That was
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
but this happens pretty late.
Yeah,
we're talking 80% of the movie.
Yeah.
Goes by.
80% of the movie goes by.
And we'll come to that point in particular as we go.
But 80% of the movie goes by. But it's like you're building this sort of narrative mechanic, and playing it with the character motivation, and you're playing it as a central character archetype, not archetype, but a central character. What's the word I'm looking for? Identity. So it's central to his identity. Then all of a sudden you shift the gears on that to make a point about him accepting like what he is or what he thinks he is, and then it's like the movie is implicitly saying that him embracing the non-realness of his life makes it better. Suddenly, his daughter's all right with him. Suddenly, he makes amends with his ex-wife. His career is better. There was literally nothing he lost. Even the active him, the spoilers, he tends to kill himself on stage.
I don't know. We don't know if he is in it.
It
does seem strongly suggested that he is in a suicide attempt, but it takes a very dumb person to completely miss shooting them in the head and instead shoot off the nose to spite their face.
My initial thought was that he killed himself before they revealed.
Yes, that was the way the scene was entirely.
And that's how they wanted you to think, of course.
Right.
And then, of course, that was still a stupid reveal. It was still a fucking.
And then he's bandaged up to look like he has a bird beak.
No, he bandaged to have. It looks like he has a mask on, like his Birdman mask.
And then he takes it off, and he has a pointed nose like a beak.
Mm-hmm. At least it wasn't an actual beak.
Well, I whispered over to Ben when he's about ready to take it off. It's gonna be a bird beak.
It's like I would have fucking said "fuck you," and I just would have left.
Right, I would have stood up and applied.
And I couldn't have disagreed.
Stupid.
I couldn't have disagreed. But unfortunately, it wasn't a bird beak.
Mm. But
because we always eat it up when something ridiculously stupid like that
There's
happens.
a lot of moments in here.
Yeah, at least. If they intentionally played up the stupidity about it,
I think they did in certain parts. I think this was a film that didn't take itself entirely seriously up to a point. It both understands how navel-gazing and up its own ass it is, and it doesn't.
And that's like...
You know how I can tell? Because it's directed by Alejandro Inarritu.
That and like every...
I'm probably mispronouncing that name to all hell, and if I am apologizing.
But he doesn't apologize calling you, the shit lord, but he will apologize for mispronouncing.
Those were not my terms. Do not put words in my mouth.
No, like when the cameras were off, of course.
Oh, that reality doesn't exist for these people.
But like again, when we come back to those like when camera was panning in really close to characters having these 2-minute-long monologues, where they basically explicitly state their character motivations, and
as they do in theater,
which is one, okay, that's a good, you're intentionally using theater mechanics to illustrate how hokey they are in a film setting, but that doesn't really connect to anything going on with the character, because when you get down to it, this is a centralized character study about an actor, coming to grips with his role in a world that seems, obsessed with fiction.
That's one argument.
So if I'm going to chime in,
please,
if you don't mind, right now, getting to why I like the movie is because, and a lot of watching a movie is about personal experience and how you relate to the movie.
Yeah.
Personally, this was another one of those movies where I could relate.
Right.
And
both you and I have experience in theater.
Yes, we have experience in theater. My entire childhood, all the way up to about 15 years old, was completely 120% based on being on stage.
Right.
It was all theater. Shit happened. And that's why I can sympathize with this, or empathize with this. And I thought Michael Keaton did a great job. His acting was superb. He sold it. He really sold it. He sold, really being on stage in the moment, juggling, his this complex of having, not knowing if it really is the legend that is the joke of the Birdman, or if he is authentic as an actor.
Right. I mean, these out of all the people in the movie, Michael Keaton goes from, in a 5-minute stretch, he goes from speaking to this imaginary figment of his psychosis, and then talking to people within the backstage environment, to going and performing on stage, and then cycling through them once again. So, I mean, in terms of carrying yourself and altering the way you move and speak, I mean, this guy is pulling an Olympiad, a triathlon.
Yes. So, props on that, to Michael Keaton. I really enjoyed the nightmare scene. Well, it wasn't actually a nightmare. I mean, it wasn't him dreaming, but I thought they might pull that, and I'm glad they didn't. But he gets, he sees this, Edward Norton's in the movie, and he's great too.
Oh, he almost steals it, man.
He steals
almost. The first act.
Oh, he definitely steals the first act.
Then it just kind of disappears towards the end.
Yeah, he kind of does.
Yeah, that's
That's a thread that just kind of
Starting to run out of smoke here.
Oh dear.
Yeah, Edward Norton's in the film too, and he plays this really over the top douchebag who
He plays me if I had a career on Broadway. An asshole, basically.
Well, I'm not gonna ardently come to your defense in that regard, but
you don't see
Thanks,
me.
Dave.
No, Gavin, you are a saint.
but
Thanks, Bennett.
But he basically he's a complete ass off stage. He fits quite a few archetypes of this kind of person who is only who's only real on stage. You can only get a boner when he's on stage.
I am Jack's
Otherwise, he can't get it
theatrical
up.
ego. Yeah.
So there's a scene where he basically starts to rape a woman.
Attempts to. Yeah.
He attempts to.
His then girlfriend.
We run into this a few times where he does or attempts to. He attempts to rape this woman on the set, which is another scene that I enjoyed.
Oh yeah. Oh wow.
Because I enjoy.
Not a really good way to phrase that.
You enjoyed what the scene
Just let me
represents.
continue.
Yeah.
So this is another scene that I very much enjoyed, which it leads to. He explains it later, but God, it's just you don't. That's different. I enjoyed it. It was very different about this film where he does that. I mean, it would never happen, but that's the whole thing. A lot of these things would never happen in this movie, but it's still really entertaining to watch, and it's it may be a little heavy-handed, it hammers in the point, but it's interesting. So back to where I was going with this is that he basically starts to hook up with the daughter of Michael Keaton's,
Played by the wonderful, if slightly awkward acting in this movie.
Yes. And he sees them basically, smooching a bit in the corner and everything, and it gives him sets him off, and he has to take a smoke break. So he goes outside to get some air right before his scene, where he's supposed to do his grand finale and come out with a gun and shoot himself. So it's ridiculous, but
Maybe
it's
one of the
really
best one-takes.
It's hilarious, and it is absolutely every actor's nightmare. He goes outside, the door accidentally shuts behind him and locks because it's one of those douche doors that locks, and stupid doors.
The
that lock.
douchebag doors.
It's called quoting Dimitri Martin. It's called a wall. But anyway, so it traps his coat in there. He can't get back. It can't get back in. And he ends up having to ditch his robe and run out around the entire theater, which is very big,
and which is on Times Square.
Yeah, right in midday during the production, everybody's out there and they have their phones out and they're taking pictures of him. Oh, you're so old. Oh, look how out of shape he is. Oh, look, it's the Birdman, and it's hilarious and it is absolutely horrifying.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite new one takes there are.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite parts of the movie. There's a lot of things like that in this movie. There's a lot of good character back and forth. So that's where I'm gonna go back to you guys.
You know what I love about this movie?
What did you love about it?
Because it is such a disaster. I can recognize this is a faulty movie, but I love it so. I love it. All right. I think this will be a good bridge. I'll speak to a few points, and then I'll guide us into the scene that we all want to talk about. First thing, unadulterated, pure joy, no liking it for being wrong or being badly produced or anything. I love the way the film was shot. I love how they are able to blend purposefully unseamlessly in certain respects. All these different locations give each a visual identity within walking like 2 seconds into each of them. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that the director of photography on this movie is Emmanuel Lubensky, who is Alfonso Cuarón's go-to guy. He was on Children of Men. I believe he was on Gravity. This guy knows how to frame a fucking shot. And you get a lot of that in this movie, so more than anything else, this film looks great. And when it doesn't look great, it doesn't look great for a purpose. And again, we'll come back to that. But I love this movie because it is such a disaster. At times it feels like a film student putting out as much artistic bullshit as it possibly can. and just sitting in the corner of the darkened room in the NYU finals and just going, oh, won't this Professor Senpai ask me what it means? Oh, won't he ask me what it means? And it's phenomenal. And I do like it because, like Gabe, I have a past in theater, and there is a certain noises off kind of behind the scenes, on the stage kind of fun dynamic to it.
I didn't get an ounce of that fun. Even recognizing like a lot of the like that moment, because I actually had that moment happen to me, being stuck outside the theater. Yeah. Well, I was supposed to be on stage. Yeah.
Really?
Yes, it really was.
I've never even heard this. What play were you in?
I don't think we have time.
I didn't even know you did it.
Yeah, that's like
We'll talk about that.
Yeah,
there are layers to this man that
We'll
you
talk
cannot
about that,
possibly
yeah.
imagine.
We'll talk about that, but it's I'll leave it at this. I missed the curtain call because of that shit.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's there's no funniness to that story. It's just like
He was the banana in the story about why fruit is good for you.
Yes, I did find $50,000 in a paper bag thrown at me out of a taxi. I'm glad I got that.
Need a smoke?
Yeah, after that one. All right, but
it wasn't good for me.
But I want to dovetail off what you said, like that artistic bullshit that you readily say that is there.
Yes.
And these plot lines and character moments that seem to go into like it doesn't lead that seems like it's going somewhere, doesn't go anywhere. Like that lesbian romance that just happens in the middle of the movie for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah, the two leading ladies, or the lead and the supporting lead in the Michael Keaton production.
I mean, like, I'm not gonna, like, far be it from me to say, like, hey, why is this lesbian makeout scene in this movie? Hey, this shouldn't be here. But
I think one of the writers was like, hey, have you seen this movie called Blue is the Warmest Color? It's like, what?
It's like, my sister, my keeper.
Oh.
But no, I will literally say that might be the most, like, confusing scene, like, non sequitur scene. I mean, I've seen Under the Skin, but that's still one of the most non sequitur scenes I've seen all year.
Honestly, it feels like that was part of the part of the movie that wanted to be Black Swan.
Yeah,
There's a lot of this movie that's trying to ape what Darren Aronofsky succeeded at.
Oh, this was...
Inarritu did not.
You know where they failed at that. Though.
Where did they fail?
They failed because those two characters were not the main character. It worked there because Anna Paquin, not Anna Paquin, Natalie Portman. I always get those two mixed up.
It's easy. They're quite similar looking.
Natalie Portman is the main character. So when she makes out with Mila Kunis, when she makes out with Mila Kunis, that's narratively relevant because it also...
I did not care in the least.
Yeah, of course you didn't. But, in regards to the movie, it's narratively relevant and it's character relevant. But those two, why did that happen? There was really no reason why that happened. In fact, everything that happened to anyone other than Michael Keaton does not matter.
Ultimately, no.
No, like even the things to Emma Stone, even things that happen to Emma, it's like Emma Stone and Edward Norton hook up, that goes nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And it just feels like it's like a movie that's hodgepodge together with ideas that don't add up to anything, connected by one idea of how to present a movie that kind of works, but every time it does work, there's also an aspect that doesn't work. And it's just like this completely unstable movie. It's, you like it. You like it because you can see the humor behind it.
A little bit, and I'll get to my interpretation towards the end.
And I like it for, already expressed reasons, but I also have a bit of a bias when it comes to theater and. The difference between theater and film.
I probably have that too.
I prefer film, acting, over theater, and
that's
this. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was about to say like some of the performances were very theater-ish,
purposefully,
but that's still. It's kind of a barrier that you have to kind of headbutt your way through.
And I did enjoy a lot of the parts of this movie where he is conflicted over the two of those, and trying to just jump over that fence.
It's like you're not.
But the scene that he has with the critic in the bar.
You mean the ending to Ratatouille?
Oh yeah, the shoehorned villainous that he might like. This is like, all right. There's this purposefully spiteful critic.
This is that she is the embodiment of what Gamergate thinks is wrong.
Yeah, like there's this purposefully spiteful critic who hates him and tells it right to his face.
Yeah.
She says,
"I'm going to give you a bad review because you're a Hollywood person that has a big ego, unlike our other theater egos.
The pure,
so I'm going to destroy." Yeah.
Yeah, but that was fuck that character.
Yeah.
Fuck her so hard.
So she never. That never returns after that, though.
Well, no,
they
she
don't
writes
really
a
go back to her. Oh, yeah, she walks out of the.
She walks out of the
And
theater when
writes
she shoots him in the face,
Yeah.
and the only reason why she gave him a good review
is because he shot himself.
Because he shot his nose off.
Shot his nose off.
Despite his face. Yes.
Despite his.
No, I think that was an obvious kind of homage to the phrase. I think that was obvious. Yeah.
Well, here's a thought that just occurred to me.
Oh, dear.
What if that ending was not exactly? What if he actually did kill himself? And this is just his heaven. What if this is his afterlife?
And Emma Stone's just staring at clouds, going,
well,
"Wee!"
Well, that ending shot would certainly make sense.
They pull a Brazil.
When they pull, it turns out spoilers. When maybe when he shoots himself in the face, and it doesn't look like he's pointing it at his nose. He's pointing it at his temple. So he would have to really
well then the gun and the position was.
Should have taken off the mask. He was like George Clooney again. It was like because he later on
that would have been fucking amazing.
It was just like because they used George Clooney in this, and he said when I saw Clooney don the mask after me.
No. He said at the probably midpoint of the movie, he tells a story about being on a plane with George Clooney, and he had a thought that if a plane went down, George Clooney's name would be in print, and he wouldn't even be mentioned.
And they bring up the fact that Farrah Fawcett died the same day as Michael Jackson, but nobody gave a shit about Farrah Fawcett dying that day.
Which was spiteful, but somewhat accurate.
Yeah, and it's always like this accusatory finger about like the media today, about like especially social media, and the Twitter followers always like spitting on Twitter followers. But the film seems to be very bipolar when it comes to its attitude about it.
I would say. Yeah. Bipolar and/or manic depressive.
Yeah, it's like, is this a condemnation of it? But then you're saying that,
Is there a redemptive quality that you're trying to express that social media has at the end?
But...
Is there not?
He
went viral, but did it matter?
Yeah, it's like, and, when he walks around outside New York Times Square in his underwear, and Emma Stone shows him the video, that's, who took that video, by the way? Because it was edited from different angles. So it had to be from different sources. Either way, it was like 300,000.
She just went out there and jacked people's cell phones.
BuzzFeed has people on the ground everywhere.
Oh, God. We are living in Watch Dogs universe.
Because she was a tough girl.
But anyways, when she said, this got 300,000 views in 2 hours,
in 8 hours.
In 8 hours. It's like, this has power. You don't know it, but this has power. And... I was just like, wait, is this like him realizing that he should be a spectacle, that he should embrace his Hollywood side?
The point that I just started laughing was when they said that people all around the world were praying for him.
That's at the absolute end.
That was ridiculous.
And this is why I think that...
It's a dream.
No,
it may not be a dream.
It may be like an afterlife. It might be like some kind of afterlife.
I think it might be a hell because eventually he's gonna get fucking tired of this.
No, I wouldn't.
Or is he just gonna? You think he's that much of a self-indulgent asshole? He's just gonna keep flying around.
Yeah, because he embraced his identity.
The amazing Keaton man.
Yeah, he embraced his identity, and Emma Stone, his daughter, looks up in wonder as he's ostensibly flying off.
But there were some good, good messages in there that make you question the as they put it, pornography of special effects in movies these days. The rattling and the sparkly look over here, look over there. It's not acting; it's just CG crap. But yeah, sure, it's a message that a lot of us already are aware of. But it was still done rather well, in my opinion.
I think we need to talk about the scene now.
Okay.
Have any of you guys out there read Wanted? Not saw the movie with Angelina Jolie, but read Mark Millar's Wanted? Because this movie kind of has that last 10 pages of Wanted feel at the 80% mark. Have either of you read Wanted?
I have not read Wanted, no.
Do you care if I spoil Wanted for you?
Go ahead, I don't care.
I don't care if you care if I spoil Wanted for you.
Dumb
Plays
movie.
out pretty much... Well, it's the same technique. He's an assassin, he's awesome. Problem is, there's no... unlike in the movie, there's no sense of, oh, we're the good guys. Surprise! No, we're actually the villains. From the very get-go, they're the villains, and he embraces it, loves it, and They go to parallel universes and start killing off every single hero in all the dimensions. And they eventually succeed. Mm-hmm. And it's all about him getting anything he ever wants. And then at the very end, he's given the opportunity to go away from it all and live a normal life or succeed at it. And then he goes, no, I'm fucking with you. Of course I'm going to do it. I'm going to fuck you on top of a pile of money. Let's go. That would be the end of the comic book, but the last 10 pages are narration talking about the reader. And it says, oh no, this is what you need, this is what you want, because you're not going to have any activity in your actual life. Look at what's around you. The villains have already run, but you don't care. You're just going to go and pick up another issue of a comic book. You're just going to go see another movie. You're just going to see another television show. And the last page is one giant splash page of our hero with an O face saying, this is the face I make when I fuck you in the ass. Now, Birdman does pretty much that. Am I not wrong?
That's kind of a stretch.
I don't think so. Because his last...
Fuck you in the ass.
Yeah. Towards the 80% mark, we've been hinting at this before, Michael Keaton's hallucinations with Birdman are increasing in ferocity and length. And at one point, we finally get to see Birdman, which is horrible fake CG Michael Keaton, just glorious in a horrible cheesy suit with little boots that have fake talons on them and fake looking ass wings. And his final hallucination is this giant battle with cops and helicopters exploding and a giant mechanical griffin landing on the skyscraper in New York, and it cuts and it pulls back down to CG Birdman, and he's staring right in front of the screen. Granted, Michael Keaton's behind there, but no, he's talking directly to us. He's talking directly to us, and he says, "Oh no, this is what they like. They don't want any of that well thought out philosophy shit. They just want shit blow up. The CG. That's all they want. Embrace it."
And he does.
And absolutely, he does.
And he gets everything he's ever wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where, around where the
so
boss
now you see
made.
where I'm coming from?
Yeah, I see where you're coming from in that regard, but when you realize that, how heavy, how the movie up till then was just so insistent on anchoring the character down into reality.
Right.
Like, just somebody touching him is enough to break him out of his movie fantasy.
Right.
So, up until now, everything is going right under the guise of reality.
Under the guise of him accepting that he just needs to pander to his audience.
Mm-hmm. Under that guise, he gets a new beaky nose. He now readily accepts his hallucinations of Birdman,
and I think he tries to fly south for the winter.
And according to Emma Stone, he does.
Apparently, well, at least her eyeline.
Her eyeline and her smiling and reaction.
She thinks that, he jumped, but he flew.
He flew. So it up till now,
it's been a navel gazing.
It is fairly navel gazing in that regard, and that's just another nail in the coffin for me in this movie. It's broad, but it knows it's being broad and it knows it's being blunt, but it has no other statements to say why it's being so blunt, other than it's theater. Like, being on theater, you're being so blunt. It's like, okay, that's just an excuse. You're not making any kind of statement between. You're not making any kind of statement other than this is how theater presents a fiction, and this is how a movie states a fiction. I'm not using a movie as a theater. Why? Other than just to do it.
Are you ready for my interpretation?
One last thought I wanted to express. And right before that hospital scene where it's revealed that he's alive, quote unquote, it's
supposedly
up in the air, maybe, like Birdman. But when it's still up in the air, that's the only time where the movie acts like a movie, where there's harsh cuts and there is no diegetics. There is no diegetic sound. It's all non-diegetic, and it's abstract imagery of a comet going through the sky.
There was non-diegetic sound prior to that scene.
No, because they gave an excuse to every single version of it.
No, you grabbed me by the arm at one specific point.
And then I remember, wait a minute, no, that's the music that they play in the theater when they're setting up a mood in the theater. So he's just using...
Did they establish that?
Yeah, they did.
I don't recall them establishing that.
Yeah, they did.
It must have been in the background of a scene.
It must have been in the background of the scene. Remember when Emma Stone and Edward Norton make out in the rafters?
It wasn't the same music.
Yeah, it was the same music. It was the same music.
No.
Regardless, what did they use to point? What did they use as part of the imagery other than the comet, coming down? They're using
the falling star.
The falling star. What do? They use images of fictional characters to establish a reality. They use Bumblebee. They use Iron Man.
They use Spider-Man.
They use Spider-Man right up on stage. It's
wait a
drum
minute.
line. Yeah,
an actual professional drum line.
Actual professional drum line. thinking, like, wait a minute.
This is when the movie goes completely off their pretension rails.
Exactly. They're making a statement that the only reason why the viewers know, like, hey, this is a movie, is because they're presenting characters that don't belong in this movie universe. They're presenting Bumblebee, they're presenting Iron Man, they're presenting Spider-Man. It's like, wait a minute. They don't exist there. They exist on New York Times Square when they're trying to make photo ops. Right. So why are they there? It's like, oh yeah, because they're real, and he's trying to mishmash reality in his own fictional world. As he's going through, I guess, a transformative sequence to waking up either into the afterlife or waking up to, like, if it's real world, if it's the real world, then that is just, then it just shat itself. The movie just outright shat itself at the end.
I will agree.
If it's real.
If it's real.
Then again, I know personally Inarritu set that up.
If it's not real, it's
set up for interpretation. So I
still
doubt we're going to get
problems.
Yeah. I doubt we're going to get a definitive answer on that.
But the movie should have ended with him shooting himself on stage and the critic walking off.
But you know.
Oh yeah, that's where it felt like it should have ended.
Even with the jellyfish thing and the story about how he had to, fight out the jellyfish, that was pretty dumb.
Yeah.
But aside from that, the showing of jellyfish at the end, like, it's significant because
that was a real story from
because it was a real.
It's a real story that happened to that character.
I'm sure that they can sit me down and explain to me why all this is significant, and
which is why that's what's supposed to happen in a movie. You're supposed to watch it and then be explained to for 12 hours.
At least this is how this movie is presented to.
But I enjoyed the first. You said 80%. I wouldn't say 80%. I'd say I enjoyed the first 73.45% of it.
That was amazingly specific.
Yes. But really, because
everyone gets the same.
I thought I really thought it was going somewhere with all that.
It really didn't.
And I thought that when he had this big change with the Birdman, that I was really interested to see where they were going to go with that. And
you know who we haven't talked about?
They didn't.
Like who
They didn't.
Zach Galifianakis.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Like, why am I in this movie?
Oh, I think it was very out of character, and I did like him in this flick.
Well,
he was the production manager for the show. He was Keaton's best friend
and lawyer
and plot advancer.
And technically his lawyer and best friend, but he's the guy who
very off character for him.
It is
and slender.
Yeah, he has lost weight, but like I just kept wondering, like, what the fuck is Zach Galifianakis doing here? Like, it's not that I can't imagine him ever having a real acting role. It's just that, when you come off of, I think the last movie he was in, correct me if I'm wrong, but the last movie I saw him in was Due Date. And I don't know.
No, that's long ago. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
I think
know.
The Hangover 3 was after that, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. Well, that just kind of furthers my point now, doesn't it?
No, I don't know the last movie he's been in.
But, like, the last movie I saw him in was Due Date, or as I'd like to call it...
Due Date?
Oh, I don't know. Like, maybe I was high off the, like, hey, Robert Downey Jr., I'll go see Due Date. And then I was like, oh, this is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles 2.
This Planes, Trains, Automobiles done by a bad fan fiction writer written in crayon.
Really... Yeah, that and Jamie Foxx. The only one who was more miscast in this movie was Jamie Foxx in that fucking movie. But regardless, it just feels like we both agree on the exact same points we all want to make. It's just that the movie...
Your tolerance for bullshit.
My tolerance for especially this movie's bullshit, is way, way lower than your guys's.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's because, you...
Fathoms lower.
Yeah, because you two have a history that just... All right. Let me ask you this. If you didn't have your theater history, would you be able to still like this movie?
I'd still be able to like it because, hey, I'm a sucker for good acting. And he did do some good acting, man. And a part of it was the fact that I really felt that all this was relevant to his life.
How could it not?
Well, yeah, it was a fucking self-indulgent movie. Yeah. But you know what? I've seen... I Am Walking Phoenix, whatever the fuck that was shit. What was the...
I'm Still Here?
I'm Still Here?
I'm Still Here. I've seen that movie. Now, that was horrible. But this was the same kind of self-indulgence, but it was done way better. It was at least entertaining. And, he poured himself into that, while Walking Phoenix was just trolling us. So I didn't feel like I was being trolled in this movie. I really felt like he legitimately thought they could do something with this and maybe, change some people's perspectives.
But I don't know. Like, if that was the case, then the director completely butt-fucked him on that part.
But he brought out the chops. I do miss seeing him and stuff. You know, it is part of my childhood. I think that most importantly, I wonder if Michael Keaton sees himself as Batman flying around following him during his life.
Honestly, that'd be amazing.
I mean, like, if you ever played Batman, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that's a part of what...
Like, cut to Val Kilmer.
That's part of what I love about this
doing?
movie is because I felt like it was just... I really feel like Michael Keaton has a Batman
has a
following
fever
him
dream
everywhere he goes. And I want to see some interviews with him on this movie. I want to see how he explains.
And it's just the parody they did of him as SNL just going, I'm Batman.
No. It just needs to be Val Kilmer needs to be in this movie. You know, just like him with the pudgy gut hanging over the utility belt.
Now he looks like a turkey with leprosy.
That was
good line was.
Good. No, turkey with leukemia.
Leukemia.
Yes. Another final note for me. The Marvel franchise and their assembly line production of movies that.
Because we need to bring.
I know you are pissed about.
Yeah, like we need to bring this Spectre.
Where'd that satellite come into orbit?
Well, let him.
No, it is relevant.
Let him do it. Let him do it.
We were just talking about how the Marvel characters were in this movie, and how they're talking about the pornography of CG and blah blah fucking blah. Well, that does correlate with what is going on right now with these high end action movies that are basically starting to become, a formula where what I just said.
I disagree on that front too.
Where it's assembly line.
Nope.
I'm passing it to you because I know that
I am talked to death at that subject right now.
Yeah.
But I will bring it up again, in Ultron. Wait for that discussion, ladies and gentlemen.
And no, I want to be on the record as disagreeing with these two chumps about the assembly line.
Yeah, you just like it because you don't hate it because you like it. There we go.
Well, don't get me wrong. I still enjoy the movies. I still look forward to them. I think they're great. But I don't really want to know what movies are going to be done in exactly 20 years from now.
Yeah,
I don't need to, I don't really I like being surprised. I don't need to know it's going to be this ladder, and that I have to wait for this to happen and this for this.
How about we get off this subject?
But in any case,
no, we're going to keep talking about this fucking subject.
I found a way to maybe not shoehorn, but shove it a little bit into this.
Crowbar would be the term.
Crowbar would be crowbar.
How about this? Have your schedule. Just keep it to yourselves. Don't pull your pants down and shit on your face. No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
No, 10 films out and 10.
Not everyone has 10 films out.
No, I don't want to know that I'm going to be 30 when I'm going to see Iron Man 11.
I'm done.
I don't want to know.
I am not permitting this conversation to continue on my end.
You realize
I commit to the bit.
Because
I commit to the bit.
Because I'm 11 years old right now. Because
you just watched a Michael Keaton movie. All right, you wanted to say something before Gabe just completely pulled Marvel Universe satellite into orbit.
Oh, come on, it wasn't completely out of nowhere.
Not completely out of nowhere.
I was a young man then.
Not completely.
You gotta credit me with that, man.
Dreams, and I look back at that time.
And if you fucking talk about a certain fucking place that we go to and come back from, I shove that cigarette into your ear.
Don't worry. What just happened will be explained here. Gavin, you had something to say about this movie.
Yes, I did. It was so long ago. I will try to do my best to remember. What do you two think who do you two think was the main character in the movie?
Well, I have an inkling of saying the audience.
How would you think that?
Through the magic of editing.
Wow.
We actually had a
That's
funny
right.
bit in there, but
no.
But Sage is allergic to actual good humor.
It was funny, and I think it should be in there.
It should be in there unless you spoil things.
Oh crap! There goes another edit, doesn't it?
No,
I can't say anything bad about the Sage.
No. You see,
he cuts it from existence.
I'm practicing verisimilitude. I'm making the edits obvious to let you know that this is indeed an edited vlog. in the form of a speaking, like I'm speaking to you.
I think we need to edit that.
I think we're gonna need to edit that.
We're gonna need to edit that.
Can you guess the running gag of this versus?
We are the Birdman, and so can you!
Bennett,
Yeah.
final thoughts on Birdman?
Just
Because
end with
honestly, final thoughts.
My final thoughts is that this movie, goddamn, this movie needed to be fixed, and I wish I could get the same
Do you
enjoyment.
think there was something salvageable?
I think there was. I think that.
So do I.
Yeah, I think this movie, if it concentrated on the fact that this guy is trying to rebuild his career, and using, Michael Keaton was brilliant casting. Yeah, I know. Foregone conclusion, but that it was still a brilliant piece of. It was a brilliant piece of casting. It was brilliantly acted, brilliantly shot, and the story could have been interesting, but it was delivered in the most sledgehammer, most not delicate way possible. And even if that was done intentionally, there was no commentary on the fact that it was being intentional. That was just like, it's like an annoying kid who's purposefully annoying you, who knows he's purposely annoying you, and that's the point.
You know what? Maybe this was just the preview.
To what?
Well, you know how the movie had a bunch of previews because it wasn't the actual performance.
So you're saying that this...
not a preview as in a
Not like a trailer, but
a preview as in a Broadway show before the actual run of the Broadway show.
In a sense,
like, they're still hammering...
there's still going to be another movie.
Like, there's actually going to be a real Birdman. They're just going to iron out the kinks.
It's going to say Birdman or otherwise the actual movie.
Oh yeah, we haven't said the full title yet.
Yeah,
It's Birdman or
the unintended,
unexpected.
the unexpected virtue of ignorance.
Yes.
And
when they put that "or" in the title,
I think I knew when they did that it was.
You knew you were in for some
an art film.
pretension.
Oh god,
yes,
that's some San Franciscan artisan, organic, sprouted, pesticide-free, gluten-free, prestigious pretension right there.
And how was it? But again, the reason, right? If this was just bad, I would have said it was bad. But it was disappointing because there was a good movie somewhere in here.
Yes.
There was a more finesse movie to be made.
Yes.
There was, and if in a proper director's hands, in a proper director's hands.
Let me tell you, get Ben Miller on this. This would have sung.
Like
get Clint Eastwood on this, it probably would have been a mediocre biopic about a band that Bennett hates.
Yeah, obviously. But like I don't want to say a better director, in a different director's hands. I think
straight up for like Guillermo del Toro.
I
think a better finessed, tighter movie already exists, and it's called Black Swan.
Yeah, like it's almost like if Black Swan were directed by the same person who did Noises Off.
No, because that was a decent director. I'm sorry, Alejandro Inarritu. I know you're going to be watching this right now. Just
because you have nothing else better to do.
Single man, yeah. Because no one will be asking you to direct any more movies. Gabe, final thoughts, please. Just try to pull this in.
Oh God, it's been great doing this whole thing. It's been educational. It's been horrifying. It's been enlightening. I mean, a whole bunch of words here.
They're just labels. They're just labels, Gabe. They're just.
Am I glad that we did this? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that I've never had this experience. I've never watched this many movies in theater back to back. Week to week. I mean, and the majority were not so great, but the ones that were really good, I'm glad I saw them in theaters. I'm most grateful for the ones that surprised me with how good they were. One's like, well, I'm not going to get into it because we're going to have that.
We're going to have that.
I'm not going to do that now, but we will have that.
No. I'm glad you finally admitted that. You're becoming your own Birdman.
Yes.
I'm going to go.
I've enjoyed all the stuff I've done with you. I have enjoyed the times that you've been able to come up and do this with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
I've enjoyed being a guest.
For adding your perspective, your wrong perspective. And, no.
But your final thoughts on the movie, though.
Oh, the final thoughts on the movie? Oh, God. Go ahead and see it because I do think that it can... I do think that you can come out of it, I'm not going to say a better person, but
I don't think cigarettes do that.
No, they don't.
Here you go, Gabe. You have the talking cigarette.
It's you can come out of it with perhaps a new perspective on your own life. I guess you could. I'm not gonna. I don't want to do this, but it's decent. I enjoyed it up to the 73.45 no point percent point in the movie. The rest of it you can at least laugh at.
Yeah.
You get to see Michael Keaton flying around, not as the Birdman, yes, but you also get to see him just
Bad
flying
CG
around
Michael Keaton, yes.
normal Michael Keaton form. It is pretty funny.
That's not even his final form.
It's an art movie. Some people didn't agree with how we felt about Under the Skin.
I think we're going to be breaching that topic of discussion later on this month.
So,
Some people didn't agree with you guys with Neighbors.
Yeah.
And with these movies, you can always watch it again. If you don't think that you're in the right atmosphere. So, it's an art film. Go ahead and see it.
Your final thoughts?
Adorable, hilarious, pretentious fluff. Would you recommend someone see this movie, Sage?
Don't go see it in theaters. This is not a movie. If you have any impetus to see it, don't see it in theaters. Rent it. Get it.
I will. Yeah.
This is not
You're
a movie.
right.
This is not.
It's not something you need to see in theaters.
This is
a movie that most people aren't going to see in theaters.
Yeah, limited release and everything. But this is, you don't have to drive 50 miles to your nearest art house cinema to go see this movie. That is time.
We drove 5 minutes.
Yeah, we drove 5 minutes, but not everyone lives next to an art house cinema like we do. Some people live in bumfuck nowhere. So,
first thing you need to do, get out of bumfuck nowhere.
Please.
Yes.
Hop a plane, go out to the coast, plant some roots. It's good here. Especially now that we got rain finally.
No, we don't want to.
We're talking about the weather now.
We don't want to share.
Gabe, would you recommend this movie?
I think he said yeah. He said yeah.
Well, not on a theater level, but yes, I would. Go ahead and rent it. Or
just
go ahead. If it's on Netflix at some point, Brent, go ahead and watch it.
It's a sterling recommendation.
Yeah.
Your time won't be wasted.
It's not something that you won't get anything out of. You'll get something out of it. Maybe something different for every person, but look at how different it was for all three of us.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's not,
and we generally agree on shit.
Yeah, if that's not a good trait for a movie, then.
In fact, the only movie we ever really wholeheartedly disagree on, we didn't make a Sage Versus out of it, was A Walk Among the Tombstones.
Walk among the tombstones.
Please, we're near the end. Let us not go into another.
Look, there's a tombstone. Walk among the tombstones.
Watch this movie high.
Yeah.
Honestly, get some good weed. Watch this movie high, and it'll be the best thing you see all year. Otherwise, it's something to giggle at. And again, I come back to my little up his own ass NYU student in the back of the finals classroom, just hoping someone asks him what's it mean so he can take out his 80-page thesis on symbolism.
If you're a diehard Liam Neeson fan, yeah.
We're going to bring this back to Walk Among the Tombstones. Good night, everyone.